Hello, this is Raheem Hassan coming to you from the Automation Innovation 2014 conference. And I'm sitting here with Dan McCue, Senior Vice President, Head of F&A Practice and Process Outsourcing at Sutherland Innovation Labs. Oh, what an impressive title that is. So Dan, I appreciate you joining us here today. Over the last year, there have been a lot of buzz in the marketplace about robotic process automation, right? Alliances have been announced, press releases have been written, right? But Sutherland Global Services, my view is that you guys are really taking this seriously, and you've made the pivot and made robotic process automation a cornerstone of your innovation strategy. Can you talk a little bit about why you guys made that pivot and what you're doing?
Sure. It fits into our overall strategy. 67% of Sutherland's revenue comes from outcome-based opportunities. Okay. We are not driven by the headcount. We never have been, and this technology fits very smoothly into that view of the world. We use robotics to drive new relationships, to provide opportunities that may not have been there before, and then to drive additional value to our current customers by providing additional continuous improvement opportunities. So let me give you an example. About 2 years ago, one of our clients came to us and they needed to cut 20% of their costs on a global process. This process had 1,000 people globally, and they said, Sutherland, can you guys help us with this? We looked at it. Wage arbitrage was not there. It had already been pushed out to all the low-cost geographies. So for us to provide the savings opportunity they were looking for and the opportunities that we needed something different. So we came up with robotics as the answer, because the robotics allowed us to cut their costs in a non-intrusive way. We did not need a technology department. We actually didn't need them for most of what we needed to do. So we went back to them and said, yes, we'll do this. In fact, we'll cut your cost at day one. We'll give you 20% savings day one. We'll take on the full burden of executing this deal. And we explained to them that the solution we had was going to be primarily around robotics. And we're executing that deal today. And so from that original robotics deal, we've now used it to go drive new opportunities in the market. And like I said earlier, we're being disruptive in our own operation, pushing our own operations to use robotics to provide incremental value to the existing client base, right? So that, the client always wants more, right? So robotics is a way to keep that relationship happy and provide return on them. So yes, we are completely bullish on this, and it just fits right into what we've always done.
So Dan, the technology is here today and ready now. But one of the obstacles, at least that I've been hearing in conversations with some of our members, is that the challenge is related to the people. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely, but robotics is no different than any other technology or any other type of innovation. You're always going to have that drive to get people to change outside their comfort zone. What we did is we realized that if we want to drive the full change, the full transformation and innovation from robotics, we have to be a disruptive. We have to be disruptive in our clients, and we have to be disruptive to ourselves. So we created an organization around robotics where we have solution architects, process architects, and we've got the technology folks as well as change agents. And they are the disruption force to ensure that our people understand that robotics is not simply there to automate the as-is. It can do that. It can give you some incremental benefit on the as-is. But if you truly want to get the full benefit of robotics, you have to do a full 2B. And if you want to do a 2B redesign, you have to have disruption. So the technology's there. The technology is actually the least of our concerns. It works.
Right.
It's all of the work leading up to the technology is where the difficulty is, and that's where the people come in, right? So if you don't have the disrupting agents to push them, then, like I say, it's not just robotics, it's anything, right? You've got to have that disruption force. So yes, but the bottom line is the technology we know works. We just need to implement.
Great. So last question. So based on what you've seen and learned as you've been doing this for a while, what is your advice to service providers and practitioners as it relates to robotic process automation?
The advice is that robotics, at the end of the day, it is a desktop automation, even though we use it as an enterprise solution. So, if you are just going to approach this from a desktop, you'll get small incremental change.
Right.
But if you really want the full, value, you've got to put the full organization, behind it. You need people to own it. You need people to drive it. Otherwise, it's going to be like any other, flash in the pan. A couple of years from now, you'll say, "Oh yeah, we tried it. It didn't work." And no, it works. The technology's there. You just have to put the effort and the organization and the discipline to drive it. And I think the organizations that put the organization behind it are going to be the ones that are going to be successful.
Great. Dan, thank you for your time.
Okay, good. Thanks, Rudy.